You've got your boxes all drawn in 1-point perspective. And so we're gonna now use some shading to turn this into a picture that's a little more interesting with different kind of forms that are exploding. The first, and I apologize for not having a better eraser. I think it'll cover up with my colored pencils, so I think I'm okay there. The first step will be to erase some of the extra lines that went to the vanishing point, the ones that went beyond your box and were inside of this box here. The one thing I do want you to keep is your horizon line across the side. I'm going to show you how to shade little circles or spheres as well. So if this little sphere, the little ball, is close to the horizon line, you're going to make it a little bit smaller. If it's big, if it's down farther on the page, like down here, where my hand is, then you're going to make it a little bit bigger. You can either freehand the circles, or you can find something like a lid, and you can just kind of trace the lid and make your circles that way. Either way is just fine with me. I'm going to use different values of one color of colored pencils. You can do it that way. I'm going to show you a couple different ways. So you can take different values of the same color, like so maybe you would have a light green, maybe you would have a medium green and a dark green. So you can work this way. You can also shade with just a pencil. And you can also shade with just one color. So say you have a more limited selection of colored pencils, but you want to do things in different colors, you can do it with just the one color as well. So your first thing that you're going to do is decide where the light is shining from. It can be anywhere on the page. Usually I pick the sky, which is up here someplace. And since my screen is a little limited on what you can see because I'm sitting at my kitchen table, I'm going to pretend like my light source is right here in this very corner, up in that corner. So I'm putting my light source up here in the left-hand corner. So that light is shining on everything here. And so it's shining on this, the sphere here, it's shining on this box, and that light, you got to kind of think about how that light's shining and hitting those boxes. So if I do the box first, and I'm going to use my values of green. If I do this box first, the sun is hitting pretty hot right here on this side here because it's just kind of coming in. Maybe it's just a little bit to the front of the box. So this front of the box here, I'm going to color in my lightest value of green. And now I want to think about what part of my box is getting the next amount of light the most. Well, I think maybe the bottom of my box is getting the least amount of light. So I think this will be the next side here away from the box. And that's kind of a judgment call too, where you think it is. It depends on where you think the front of the box is. Just keep it consistent throughout your picture. So I'm going to choose this side here is the next light, the next darkest side or the next lightest side. And I'm going to use my medium green to color that one. So now that I've got my medium value, next I'm going to color in my darkest value. So I'm going to use this darkest green here and color in this underside because it's the farthest away from the light. Now you can see that one's all the way finished. These boxes in the corners, they have 3 sides showing, and so they're going to end up with 3 different values every time. They're going to have a very lightest value, a very darkest value, and a medium value. And that'll change depending on where the boxes are. And I'll go around as we go. So I'm going to go to this box that's down below here. It is a 2-sided box. So it has a front side and a side here. And I'm going to count that probably the very lightest value is bouncing off the very top of the box. But I can't see it. So I'm going to make this front side my lightest value and this my medium value. Well, I only have one of these reddish pink colored pencils, so I'm going to have to change my pressure to get the color that I want, or to get the value that I want. So for the front of this, I'm going to use light pressure, and I'm going to color in the front of the box lightly because it's getting more light than the side of the box. And then for the side of the box, I'm going to add more pressure. And then I'm going to color it in with a darker pressure. So this time the light is shining from this little spot. I almost used it from the sphere here. And it's bouncing off the top. So I'm going to make that my lightest value of blue. And I'm going to decide which one of these sides, whether it's the front side again that's the medium or the back side is the medium. And I think I'm going to make the front side the medium. And I'm going to color it with my next value of blue. And finally, I have one more value, and it's this darkest side here. And so I'm going to color it the darker value. This is going to be the lightest part. And this is my darker value. So I'm going to color a little darker. We'll say that wasn't giving me enough contrast. What I could do is layer a different darker color, like this dark blue again, and I could layer this on top again too. And that would give me another little bit of a darker value. I could even color with my colored pencil or regular drawing pencil first and then put that color over top. We're going to go on to the next spot. This one only has one side showing. You can pretty much decide what value that's going to be. Now it's time to shade the spheres. They are a round form, so in the boxes had a hard edge where the values changed. In the case of a sphere, they blend from one value to another. Your light source will be hitting one spot of the sphere the most. That's your hot spot. You're going to leave it white. Then you wrap your next lightest value around that hot spot, and then you increase your values from there. You want to try and get about 4 values from the very white to a very light color, and then finally the very darkest value will be kind of around the sphere far away from the light source. So after you're done coloring in your spheres, all that's left to do is to color in your background. Pay attention to your horizon line. You should have a dividing area between your sky and your ground, or your wall and your floor. And don't forget a little bit of cast shadow.